Corruption is the function of big government. The more functions a government has, the bigger probability of corruption that happens in the country. For example, like conflict of interest. One and the same government bureaucrat, he's responsible for regulation, for legislation, for commercial management, and for auditing, inspection, and imposing fines. We have a weird example in Belarus, where first deputy minister of industry is a CEO of a car plant at the same time. So how could you possibly ensure good principles of good governance in this situation? So there's conflict of interest when bureaucrats or government officials, they are responsible for delivering commercial results of different companies. So this is definitely contrary to governance principle that SIPE and we DICS promote and their international standards. But again, corruption is when there is no playing field. Like, for example, in taxation, you have 5 different tax rates. And it's not like in America or any other democratic country with transparency standards that you just have auditing, you have solid like judiciary, independence of the judiciary, where you can go to court and appeal. This is not the case in our country. So by bribing somebody, by creating incentives for an official to set a lower tax rate or lower import duty, or create loopholes in legislation to free you from paying taxes, paying customs duties, going through competition procedures and open tenders. This is where corruption is. The challenge of corrupt capital from emerging countries to developed countries is that this is the money that could have been spent to benefit those countries, to benefit the people, and enhance institutions of democracy and free market. While again, this is the state captured by oligarchs, by corrupted individuals. But the problem is that in the modern world, where like Asia is a center of financial capital, London, New York, you have like over 60 jurisdictions that provide different services to accommodate this kind of money. So again, it's next to impossible to think of a situation when somebody with $10 million cash case could come to an office and say, well, I need this cash to be deposited in your bank, and show me how to do that he's rejected. The probability of his being rejected is next to 0. So the thing is that that happens, right? So the share of gray economy in the whole world is about 35% of GDP, which is with GDP 85 trillion. Just this is amazing, right? The tax breaks cost and all this shadow money themselves are banking about 7 to 10 trillion dollars. It's a huge parallel economy that feeds itself, feeds criminals, feeds those who again know how to channel money from central banks, governments to their own pockets. You should have again promote good practices. I think that it's inevitably will lead to competition of currencies, legalization of coins of all sorts, of electronic money, which are kind of competition to state money. But again, eventually, the fundamental solution is that the less money in the hands of the individuals or corrupt politicians, the lower the probability of corruption and dirty money flowing around the world. Norms and standards vary, right? We have, for example, ISO in merchandise. So this is international private norm standards that are applicable to management, to goods, to services. I think that if there is demand for this kind of norms and this norm becomes standard in financial market or international aid or providing loans, then eventually evolutionary, it will be part that both developing and developed countries form demand for. It could be, well, OECD, Basel Committee, you have United States, you have IMF, you have World Bank. There should be some respectable organization with impeccable reputation that would offer this kind of a solution. There could be a syndicate, or SIPE could do that. So we're well equipped to do that as a kind of non-governmental organization, NGO that advocates for free market democracy, good governance, and inclusive development, inclusive growth. An organization, network organization with international outreach, with good reputation, with access to the pool of talents worldwide. So essentially, I would definitely vote for SIPE to provide this kind of assistance in creating norms and standards for a new financial world, for including different countries. But then, again, you support competition, you support participation in entrepreneurship, and then even this area there should be entrepreneurial kind of approach to this kind of standard making. Well, private sector in our part of the world does not fully fathom, understand how it benefits from democracy, from liberal institutions, from these international norms and standards. But if you explain to them the changing nature of the world today, disrupted by fourth industrial revolution technologies, disrupted by all sorts of things in money, in blockchain technology, in competition, which is growing. As you know, that, for example, export of developing countries, or trade flows between South and South, right, now exceeded the trade between South and North, which was unprecedented even 20 years ago. So essentially, it definitely should realize where its market will be in 5-10 years. And the market will be international. The market will be by providing modern services and goods to the market, participation and taking part in the global value chains, definitely corresponding to standards of involvement, engagement in different cooperation, as it were. So, for example, if you have some good services, you must be have good in IT. You must be good at PR. You must be good at marketing. People should know what you stand up for, and that's why standardization. You should insist on your country being perceived as a member of the family of democratic, fair, competitive countries worldwide. So essentially, if Belarus, for example, now suffers from not being recognized as a market economy, that's why different countries can impose tariffs. And I talked to businessmen in Belarus saying, do you know that your business could be 5 times bigger if these restrictions do not exist? And here, oh, really? And so there is a kind of lack of recognition of the fact that we are all intertwined, and if you don't focus on just self-employed local market, little moms and pop business, if you want to do it internationally, you must be part of this international community of democracy, rule of law, for fair trade, free fair trade, and even to resist harmful competition from whatever country they come from.